I am ranking every team in the NFL every single week, starting with this week, giving you my power rankings, all 32, every team in the league. But first, one quick reminder, we're this far into the podcast. Let's get our likes up this week, y'all, on our clips, on our podcast. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Before you forget, if you're enjoying the long podcast or the short clip that I'm uploading on the channel later in the week. But let's get into my power rankings, starting from 32 all the way up to 1. I'm gonna try and give these at a reasonable speed in a reasonable amount of time for everyone to enjoy here. And my worst team in the NFL as of today is the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm just kidding. You got me. It's not the Las Vegas Raiders. It's the Tennessee Titans, because Will Levis is out there playing Mayo ball. And it's kind of crazy because the Titans are still a pretty solid team, an average team in the NFL roster-wise. They got the first-year head coach out there, so they're trying to turn things around at least. But it's just not working out with Will Levis. He is playing terrible to start this year. He's been sloppy with the football. And like I said, I've termed it Mayo ball since they want to go all in with this Mayo talk. I never thought that was a good thing. Anyways, my 31st ranked team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. We saw what just happened to them against the Buffalo Bills. I will still put the Jaguars over the Titans just slightly because I do believe in Trevor Lawrence a little bit more than I believe in Will Levis. I do believe in Doug Peterson a little bit more than I believe in Brian Callahan to turn this thing around. But one more loss for the Jaguars and a win for the Titans, and this flips. And I believe the Titans play the Dolphins, so a very winnable game for them. A game that's going to be hard to predict because I have the Dolphins way down in these rankings as well. But up next, I actually have the Las Vegas Raiders. Hey, sorry for interrupting myself, but one quick reminder before you forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you can be here every single time I post. It's the free way you guys can support the channel. We're trying to build something special here very early on in the stages here. We only have 10,000 subscribers. We're trying to get 20,000 subscribers. The only way that's possible is if you guys support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, turn on notifications. At 30, and I even can't believe as a Raiders hater that I have the Raiders this low by week 3 in the season. I thought they would start off hot and then things would start to fall off a cliff later on in the season. It's just been problems from the get-go. We talked about it with Leal in the segment earlier in the show or in another clip. If you guys are watching the clipped up version of my power rankings this week, definitely go and check out that full conversation. It was a good one. It was fun to talk about what I would do to help the Raiders from here. But I have them at 30. At 29, the New England Patriots. Something I never thought I would say in my life. Having the Patriots ranked this low for obvious reasons. I have the Carolina Panthers at 28. So after their big win against the Raiders, getting Andy Dalton in there, they move up probably from 32 to 28, although we did not release our power rankings last week. So this is the first one. The Panthers will start off coming off a win at 28. Let's see if they go back down to 32. I have a sneaky suspicion that they will as we get into the season and teams, start to attack Andy Dalton a bit more than the Raiders were able to in last week's game with them, making some business decisions as coach. Antonio Pierce said him damn self. At 26 or at 27, sorry, I skipped 27. I have the Miami Dolphins. I think this is the only team in the entire league that has not led for a single second yet, which is obviously extremely ugly and something that you never want to see from your team, something that's not going to get you ranked very high in Mike's power rankings week after week if the Dolphins continue to do that. Again, they play the Titans this week. I'll give you my pick here after this segment. That's something that could go either way, in my opinion, and is going to shift these power rankings next week a ton, bringing me to number 26, another division rival of my LA Chargers. I'm being unbiased here. Put the Denver Broncos. Big win this last week. I think that probably moved them up a few slots in this. Gave me some confidence in them over the Miami Dolphins, a team a lot of people had high hopes for going into the season. They're down their quarterback right away. A team like the Panthers coming off a big win, still put the Broncos over them. And then, of course, their division rivals, the Las Vegas Raiders, got the Broncos over them as well. So Broncos fans are probably mad that I'm ranking them this low, but look at it as a positive thing because they're trending up after that performance by Bo Nix versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if he continues to play like that, the Broncos will only continue to go up. The New York Giants are my 25th best team in the league. They showed a lot more juice on defense in last week's game and in the first 3 weeks than I thought they would have. I knew this front seven was going to be good. They added Brian Burns and they got Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side, but it's dominating right now. And if it continues to dominate, the Giants actually have a hope to, be okay. Not absolutely stinky and terrible with Daniel Jones at quarterback. If the defense can keep playing like this, I may be picking the Giants to win against the Cowboys on Thursday, but we'll see. I haven't fully decided yet. My pick'em segment is next, so stay tuned for that. The Browns are at 24. I can't back the Browns with how bad Deshaun Watson's been, even though the Browns have a sneaky roster, something that they should be a lot better with. I got the Chicago Bears at 23, just over the Browns. I do think this is going to click later on in the season. It's kind of going how I expected it for the Bears, where their defense is performing very well, but the offense just isn't quite clicking because the quarterback is a rookie who's not your typical stand in the pocket and deliver rookie also. He's a guy that needs to build chemistry with his weapon core, needs to build chemistry with his tight ends, needs a run game to help him out right now, being a rookie in the league. And it's just not quite there yet for Chicago, but I think it will get there later in the year. And I've seen opportunities where Caleb Williams is a little bit better. They can cash in and score points and be better and even have a better record than they have as of right now. I got the Colts at 22, one of the more disappointing teams so far in the first 3 weeks of the year, followed by maybe the most disappointing team, the Cincinnati Bengals at 21, who are the highest ranked 0-3 team by a wide margin. I'm giving the Bengals some kind of benefit of the doubt here and putting them at 21 in my rankings. They deserve to be a lot lower. I agree if you guys are upset at this take. The reason is they should be 3-0. They completely flubbed those games. And you can say, yeah, they flubbed those games, so they deserve to be 0-3. But at the same time, you can use context. You can use your eyes and knowledge of the sport of football, and you can see that while the Bengals have a terrible secondary, they do have a decent pass rush. This is still going to be one of the best offenses in the league this year. They're still a playoff caliber team, even at 0-3. That should be 3-0. I just want to keep reiterating that. The refs took the Chiefs game away from them. Patriots game, they come out rusty because Jamar Chase didn't practice all offseason. And then Jaden Daniels is freaking unstoppable on Monday Night Football. And they still were in that game. They still had a chance to win that thing. So they should be 2-1. They should be 3-0. That's why I got them here at 21 in the power rankings, even though they're 0-3. And their season is practically ruined already at this point. It's be hard to make the playoffs, but it's almost impossible to make the Super Bowl from 0-3. It's never happened before in league history. At 20, I have the Los Angeles Rams, which is interesting. Super Bowl matchup from a few years ago when the Rams beat the Bengals. Very impressive upset against the 49ers this week, although that was more about the 49ers to me and what's going on there than it was about the Rams being great with Puka and Cooper Kupp. Still on ice, still out. So line's still beat up. The defense isn't amazing enough to cover up some of those problems on offense and make those plays that are needed to keep them in some of these games. And I don't think it's going to happen in crazy comeback fashion every week for the Rams like that against every single team. They caught the 49ers sleeping, if you will. At the Arizona Cardinals at 19. Just smoked the Rams a few weeks ago. Took an L last week. I still believe in the Cardinals offense a ton. Lots of questions on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, which has got them down here at 19 on the bottom half of the league still. And I got the Dallas Cowboys at 18. I am completely off on the Dallas Cowboys. We talked about it more in that segment with Leo earlier in the show. So if you guys want to see that, definitely go check out the full conversation. Like I was saying, if you're watching the clip up of these power rankings. At 17, I have their division rival, the Washington Commanders. And I wanted to put this take out there in the preseason that I like the Washington Commanders more than the Dallas Cowboys, but I just didn't have the balls to do it. So I had the Commanders going 9-8 and being third in the division, tied with the Cowboys in second at 9-8 as well. It's looking like I was right. Like, this Commanders team can go 9-8, and that Cowboys team can definitely go 9-8, and I have them ranked right next to each other still, just like I did in the preseason. Got the Falcons at 16. I think that this team is in a good spot to improve drastically. They're playing far from their best football offensively, and they can get a lot better on that side of the ball, and they're still in these games. They still have a chance in this division. I think the Falcons are still going to be a good team down the stretch of this year, especially with how their defense is playing, because I just have so much confidence. The offense will come together around Kirk Cousins as they get some more time together. Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, these guys are just too freaking talented. Speaking of teams that are too talented for the record that they have, I have the Baltimore Ravens at 15 behind my Los Angeles Chargers at 14. And I am taking the injuries into account, but also taking into account that none of the injuries are season-ending injuries. And that's something I didn't get to bring up in the segment with Leo, and I would like to bring up right now, that the Chargers dodge these bullets like the Matrix, literally, with these injuries. No one is expected to miss significant time. If anything, these guys will all be back after the Chargers Week 5 bye here, the week after next, hopefully. Definitely Justin Herbert, which is the biggest one, and Joey Bosa, and definitely probably Rashawn Slater, and we'll see about Joe Alt with the MCL sprain. Chargers are banged up. They are 2-1. They were playing the Steelers really tough in that game, and they smoked their other two opponents. I think they're going to play the Chiefs really tough also, and surprise a lot of people, even with some backups filling up in spots behind New Orleans Saints. I can't deny what Saquon Barkley is behind this O-line, but I also can't deny with how much Jalen Hurts is struggling in the past 10 games or so, how much this passing offense in general is struggling, and that secondary is ugly, man, and they can't get it right. They've invested draft picks. They've invested free agency signings. They can't get it right. I don't know what they need to do to really take this to the next level, but they got to figure out the secondary problem by the end of the season if they want to compete in the playoffs at all, while Jalen Hurts also improves, which is why I kind of have them low to what a lot of people have them ranked at. Behind the Green Bay Packers, behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 10, and not even in the top 10, which start off with the Bucks. And at 9, I have the New York Jets, which we saw for the first time against the Patriots what this Jets team can be. It can be a very efficient offense that kills the clock, dominates the time of possession, that can also make a bunch of big plays down the field to Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson, and also make big plays in the run game with Breece Hall behind, a more stocked and beefed up offensive line this year. And then you go to the defensive side of the ball, they can shut down opponents and they can win games 24-3 on repeat, just like that. 27-3, 27-10, 24-10, 27-17 all year long. And I think they're going to continue to do that as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy. I got the Seahawks at 8, and this is more of a respect thing. What they've done this year, they are 3-0. I do think that the strength of schedule is the reason that the Seahawks are 3-0. I do not think that they're in the caliber of some of these other teams listed here, but you got to show them some respect. I still have them ranked behind the 49ers at 7, even with all these injuries. I think that Rams comeback was a bit of a fluke. Again, sleeping at the wheel, which you do fault the Niners for doing, but you don't necessarily expect the Niners to do that every single week. And like I said, you can take context into account when you're doing rankings, when you're doing predictions, when you're talking about these type of things. Got the Houston Texans at 6. I think that this last game was a fluke game for them too, at least in the fashion that they lost. The Vikings absolutely destroyed them. I think this is the type of team with so much talent, good coaching, good quarterback. They lock back in, they get back out there, and we see a masterful and a much better performance this week out of the Texans. What we expect to see out of Houston week in, week out as the 6th best team in the league, according to my rankings, behind the Minnesota Vikings, who just blew them out. And they beat the 49ers. They beat 2 of the best teams in the league. They beat 2 of the teams I have highest ranked in here. I have to have them 5th, but I don't have them as the best team in their division right now. I still think that is the Detroit Lions for the reason that their offensive line is just better than the Vikings. Their quarterback is just better than the Vikings. And with Jordan Addison out, I like the Lions' weapon core even better than the Vikings. Look at these defenses, pretty comparable, pretty similar level when we talk about points per game and yardage. The Vikings are a bit more aggressive. The Vikings have been playing a lot better this year, but in general, I like the Lions defense too. I think they're a better all-around team, even at 2-1. They should be 3-0 with the Vikings if they can just complete some of these drives with touchdowns. It's been the problem for the Lions this year and their offense. They've been getting into field goal range. They've been moving the football down the field, and then drives been stalling. They're going to get that fixed. They're going to start putting up 40 points on fools. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to get behind Gibbs, get behind Monty, and they're going to string together 8 straight wins here. And I think that's coming starting this week. At 3, you're probably confused. Who do you have at 3? The Lions are at 4. The Vikings are at 5. The Texans, 6. The Niners, 7. Who do you have at 3? I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. And people might hate this because Justin Fields is their quarterback, but Justin Fields has been very improved this year. You saw what he did to my Chargers, that big play to Calvin Austin late in the game, diming us up to Pat Freiermuth over and over the middle of the field. His patience, his ability to kind of hold himself back and not make these crazy bonehead throws and and fumbles when trying to scramble. It's all coming to fruition. It's all coming together in Pittsburgh behind this coaching staff. And now even Mike Tomlin has even uttered the confidence in Justin Fields, saying that they don't even need to announce him as the starter. It's obvious that this guy is not coming off the field for Russell Wilson. There's no freaking way. And if he continues to play like this, the Steelers are going to be impossible to beat because they have the best defense in football again. And it's not even close. They're giving up 8 points per game so far this year. It's absolutely insane how they do this year after year after year. But Justin Fields is actually the perfect quarterback for Pittsburgh to win 12 games because he can just run the ball, keep the possession if he's not going to turn the ball over a lot like he did in Chicago, and this defense will win them almost every single game this year. I'm serious. That's why I had them as the third best team in the league, because of that defense. I have questions about the O-line. I have questions about the weapon core. I don't trust Justin Fields if a team can force him to stand in the pocket and throw. I don't. But no one's done it yet, and there's no signs of people doing it in the future because of what TJ Watt and this defense is doing. And I think that that's going to continue into the season here as we get things going more. At 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. A lot of people have the Bills at 1, and I can see the reason for having them at 1. Josh Allen's probably the MVP as of right now, very early on in the season. We've seen this happen a bunch of times. All the youngsters that needed to step up for Buffalo, for them to be able to survive the turnover they survived this offseason, they're all stepping up. Although I still have the same questions I had about the depth of this team in the beginning of the season. I still am very impressed and willing to just say, so far, completely wrong about the Bills. They got the best offense in the league currently, number 7 ranked defense according to scoring as well. This team deserves a number 1 spot, but I can't take the Chiefs out of the number 1 spot. As you guys can see, I wore my Chiefs jersey to the show today for the interview with Coach Reed, but I can't take them out of the number 1 spot. I know that Buffalo's red hot. I know the Chiefs have gotten lucky in multiple games this year with referees helping them out at the end of the games. I have to give them the credit as the back-to-back champs. I have to give them the credit with Patrick Mahomes, even when Travis Kelce's struggling. I have to give this defense the credit that they deserve for what they've done over the last couple of years. And at 3-0, the Chiefs will sit atop the league, especially with Jordan James suspended. And we're playing Travis Kelce this week, who's just salivating at the mouth because of all the media talk and rhetoric this last week. We'll see what happens next week and how my power rankings will shift. I guess sooner rather than later. The ball definitely won't lie on that one. Thank you for tuning in to another NFLMike video. Now it's time to go make more football friends or go and compete in the Mike's Pickems Challenge or against me in daily fantasy football challenges by joining my completely free NFL group chat. Or head to fifthdown.shop and check out and see if we got your team's newest designs. Or now you can simply rep your favorite players without having to wear another team's gear. And then tag us in pictures of you wearing your Fifth Down merch for a shout out in the next episode of NFL Mike's Corner. And help us reach our goal of getting 1,000 NFL fans wearing Fifth Down. Or you can head to the next NFL Mike video by clicking it. It's on your screen. Go ahead.